Citizens, we resume our meeting with public hearings scheduled for 6 p.m. County Administrator, would you proceed with our public hearings?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item number 30 is your first and only public hearing to approve the Cowthorne multi-family residential type C development and plan application. The analysis and recommendations are before you. Staff is recommending option 1. We have 2 speakers on this item. The first is a virtual speaker, Logan Van.
Mr. Van, welcome to the County Commission meeting. You're speaking on agenda item number 30. We received your comments. You have 3 minutes, sir, if you'll state your name and address for our public record.
Yeah, it's Logan Van. And my first comment is, what is the city going to do to make sure the schools, with the increase of all the people that are going to be living in there, what is the city going to make sure that the schools have the amount of resources that they can to take care of these patients, all the people that are going to be going to the schools up there, as this is a big change in development for those schools, Hawks Rise, Deer Lake, and the high school.
Okay, we thank you so much for your comment.
The second speaker and final speaker is Ellen Hicks.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me this time. I have lived on Bull Headley Road in the Northeast for over 38 years. It used to be a really nice place, but one thing I want to point out to you is that the Lake Imonia Task Force was created in 1989 at the request of Leon County Board of Commissioners and produced the April 1991 Lake Imonia Management Plan. This is it. There were a lot of experts that gave a lot of time and energy to put this report together. My concern is that everything in this report has been disregarded by this current commission and by the current planning building plans for our area. It was a big waste of time and people's money to put this plan together because you've totally ignored it. Lake Imonia is 7 miles long, 2 miles wide, covers 5,700 acres. It's a watershed basin which extends beyond the Florida-Georgia state line, encompassing an area about 64,000 acres and interacts with the Ocklawakanee River Valley lowlands. The surrounding wetlands include Foshley Slough, Foshley Lake, Cypress Swamp, bottomland hardwoods, extensive areas of marsh, and over 10,000 acres of native forest. The lake is a delicate balance of over 21 native plants, waterfowl, animals, over 21 native plants, and changes in water quality and levels has potential to reduce the densities of these species and cause other species such as water hyacinth and hydrolia, one of the most invasive aquatic plants in the world, to flourish. Because of the increased development in the Northeast, specifically the Bannerman Road corridor, we are seeing problems in Lake Imonia that we have not experienced before. We now have the exotic apple snail that has been discovered in this lake, and if you know anything about Lake Munson, you know that this is a very invasive species that pretty much destroyed Lake Munson. We are now fighting that in Lake Imonia because the increased boat activity brings all this in. So what I'm asking you is, I don't feel that I've been to all these meetings and I know that you're not going to deny this application, but what I wish that you would consider is the density. Once all of these apartments are built, you went from 210 to now 244 apartments. There are no apartment complexes in the Northeast. We are a single family neighborhood. You look at Killearn Lakes, Killearn, Oxbottom, you have not maintained the integrity of our neighborhood. Thank you.
There are no other speakers on this item.
Very good. Can we get a motion? Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, District Commissioner Welch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Ms. Hicks, for showing up, and Mr. Van on the phone. I do want to address, first, Mr. County Administrator, could we get somebody from staff to speak to Mr. Van's question about school concurrency and how this development will impact and what kind of negotiations have been going on with school, what kind of concurrency fees have been paid by the developer or agreed to be paid by the developer?
Absolutely. Let me ask Barry Wilcox to come forward.
And let me ask that question specifically, which he asked is, what is the city going to do? And I'm not presuming that we're speaking for the city. Mr. Van's question was, what is the city planning to do? Can you tell us what the city is going to do and answer?
I cannot, Commissioner. I wish I could. But I will tell you what the county is planning to do on the school board. As Commissioner, you pointed out, school concurrency was put in place back in 2005, I believe, and any development in the state of Florida since then is required to check with the local school district to ensure that capacity exists in those classrooms that will be impacted by these projects. So when a project is proposed, when we actually get an application submitted to us and we have an idea, a specific number of units, we transmit that to the school board. What they do is they have generation rates. In other words, how many elementary, middle, and high school age students will be generated by a single family home or a multifamily project in this case. Then they run that against what's in the schools at that time to determine whether or not capacity exists to accommodate those. In this instance, they determined that there was capacity in the elementary, middle, and high schools that would be served by that would serve this project. So it was granted concurrency at that point. So we do that with every single one of our projects that come in.
Okay. Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Barry. So I hope that answers Mr. Van's questions. There are formulas, there are processes. The school district is involved in this development review and concurrency and things like that. So my next comments will be to Mrs. Hicks's comments. This is, well, first and foremost, to Ms. Hicks's comments about the lake management plan for Lake Ammonia. Mr. County Administrator, do we have somebody, and it may be, I guess, water quality issues or the issue of the night, but can somebody speak to whether or not the Lake Ammonia management plan is being followed and what is the status of that? Because it's really kind of the first of my hearing about that. So if we got invasive snails, I want to make sure we're doing everything we can to get rid of invasive snails, and I want to make sure that we're using Lake Ammonia properly. But at the same time, I have gotten emails about loud airboats and prevalence of airboats on Lake Ammonia, but at the same time I get emails from people who hunt on Lake Ammonia and drive airboats on Lake Ammonia, and they want to make sure they still have the ability to do that. So we do want to make sure that we're following any management plans that we have on the lake and that we're protecting the water quality as best we can. So can we speak to that?
I'd like to introduce you to Anna Padilla again. She's making her way up.
Thank you, Anna.
Hi. Commissioners, we will look into the 1991 management plan for the lake and see what it says. And it is possible that there's apple snails in there. They could have been on boats. They were in Munson. They're not anymore, but it's certainly possible that they're up there.
Thank you. And Mr. Chair, may I? Excuse me. And so to Ms. Hicks, to your point, I agree with you. I want to make sure that the lake is protected as much as we can protect it. I want to make sure we're following any plans that are in place. And we can certainly ask staff and the county administrator to look into that and make sure that those things are going on. Now, to the larger issue of development in the Northeast and the Bannerman Road corridor, specifically in Bull Headley Road and the impacts, as a lot of people know, that ball started rolling many, many years ago, and the decision to change the zoning to a node was 3 or 4 years ago. Well, we are here now, and as you know, this is a quasi-judicial proceeding, so it's a lot like a court of law in that sense, and so we sort of, the very back page of this analysis says you can't deny this permit without, competent existing reasons not to do that. So being that those decisions were kind of set in motion before my time on here, all I can speak to is that this development review has gone through the county's processes. They are extensive. They are thorough. Barry Wilcox and his staff and our staff they make sure that the developers are held accountable for what they are entitled to do, but they do have entitlements to do things on this property. So what I can promise to you and all of my constituents in District 4 and all the constituents on Bannerman Road is that we'll do everything we can within reason that is practical and possible to mitigate to the extent we can the entitlements that these developers have now on this property. So yeah, the road is now being widened, and that's a blueprint project that was kind of done 2 years ago, but it's going to take several more years for that to get done. And until that gets done, it's going to be more congested. We're going to have more traffic. It's going to be less than pleasant. But I am confident in the county administrator. I'm confident in our blueprint staff that once that road is done, it's going to be a beautiful road. It's going to be a beautiful facility to sort of really change. It's going to change, though. I mean, we have to accept that area of town that we love is going to change. But I want to assure you and everybody else who's impacted by it that I will certainly advocate to mitigate to the extent possible any negative impacts, because it's one of those things where people buy land, decisions are made by governing boards, and then those people have, rights to develop that land and put in densities. And, the Northeast is growing. And to the earlier man's point, we want to make sure that we provide adequate schooling and that the traffic and currency is up to date. Those are responsibilities that we have, and you have my commitment to ensure that those responsibilities get met. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Dozier?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good line of questions, Commissioner Welch. I had a couple of the same. Yes, it's quasi-judicial. Our land use policies are what they are, and the time to reflect on those is not when we get the application during a quasi-judicial proceeding. So we have other times where we can reflect on those. And we've done that a lot over the years, particularly Bannerman, the lake protection, all of that, in that area and up to Lake Jackson. I'm going to be very interested to know what that 1991 report says as well. Glad we're going to look into that. And Ms. County Administrator, I don't think we need to get an answer to this right now, but the apple snails were eradicated from Munson. So if we are seeing a problem develop in Lake Imonia or other places, two questions I'd like to have some information on. One, what mitigation steps could be taken if the snail's already there? It's a much larger area, of course. And two, are there preventative measures that we could take at all of our lakes? Because this is a problem that not just Leon County faces, but lots of folks face, right? I think a lot of boaters are educated about this, but not everybody, and it's hard to control. So, we're looking for, and our folks from Fort Braden area, Lake Talcum, we don't want these invasive species in any of our lakes. So it's hard to control, but could we get some information back, just email to the board on that issue? Okay. So thank you for bringing that up, ma'am. On the development issues in general, this is a really tough one about the density. And in Six, we've over the years heard this discussion about multifamily and apartments in the area. And you're right, there historically were not apartments out there. I'm going to submit right now, this is something that our community, whether we're in Bannerman area or in the urban area or anywhere else, we need to really dig in and talk about this. And there's two things. One, housing needs. Folks who live out there who may not be able to afford a single family house, there's a question to be asked of whether or not they need to drive all the way across the county because they can't find a place to live in that area. There's different tensions there. So I very much respect, and every neighborhood's like this, and you feel that growth and the encroachment on that and the change in the area. Bannerman Road's going to be has been a huge change, going to be a huge change. But I think we need to have a conversation about that because our housing question is also really critical. And we're going to be pushing forward with more multifamily, more affordable and workforce housing in all areas of the community. So this point is not a point where we can make that change. And I'm not suggesting that we necessarily would, but we need to have that conversation. And And Mr. Chair, just one last comment, just because this has been just sticking with me. It's a little bit out of step, but the schools in this community, I mean, again, we're looking at Fort Braden community. We're looking at a lot of different areas. There is a program on WFSU right now. The studies show Leon County has the most segregated school system in the state, and that just blew my mind. And it is based on, actually Senator Mumford said this, our land use policies and the jobs that are created. Different parts of town have very, very different schools. And I'm glad you mentioned the concurrency, but having different types of housing in different places, I'm not saying, I'm just saying this is complicated. So Ms. Hicks, I'm glad you brought it up. I respect, living out there, it is a lot of change. And it is something we should talk about for sure. But as we make decisions, or the city makes decisions, these are really complicated. We got a lot of different pressures. So we need to talk about it before we get to this moment in approving a project that is based on our rules. And yes, it's going to go through, I assume. So thank you, ma'am, for bringing those issues up.
Other commissioners? It's interesting that the annexation question, I think that Mr. Van's question, Commissioner Welch, involved his recognition of the city's interest, its prowess for absorbing lands north. And he offers that awesome contrast that whereas Bannerman Road is approximately, I'll guesstimate 14 miles north of our building, this commissioner has sought the city's annexation maybe 3 miles from this building down to Capitol Circle South. And it's an interesting question. And it shows the disparate interests of the city's growth north, and so much so that the policies which may become dominant there would be under jurisdiction of the city and not the county any longer. I guess that speaks to concerns that you have. The governance over the property, over the land mass, is shifting out, switching, because we yield to annexation goals of the city. I think that the question that you've raised up tonight, ma'am, is that whether or not a 1991 lake management plan speaks 31 years later to a more dense, is densified a word, Commissioner Maddox? Densified, that's a word. Yeah. Thank you. Vice Chairman allows me to use the word densified, a more densified area, and pull it up on Google if it's not. And because of that densifiedness, the question is the science, the trajectory of how you handle a lake that is not under the stresses of development of 31 years later. And I think that probably looking at the stresses of evolving development, the science should contemplate and should be current to look at what, from an aerial view looking down, what is occurring around. And with that growing, evolving footprint, what those challenges will be with runoff from nice cars and runoff from bigger, stronger engines. I don't think that there is a curtailment of the size of engines that go across ammonia. When you talk about an airboat, that's like an airplane. That's a junior airplane flying across the lake. Right. And when we had in Lake Jackson at one time, we adopted I think not larger than 25 horsepower motor. Is that right, Vince? I don't know if that's still imposed, but we had said, the lake is fragile. Can't put these huge boats. So the county commission said 25 horsepower. Maybe that's something that a revised look at your management plan could possibly look at. Do we need to limit?
Was in anticipation of development. natural resources in the face of increased development. And it's very specific. Construction is not economic development.
Right.
And it specifically addresses what will happen to our natural resources with increased development. So
Great.
that was the purpose of the plan, was to lay the foundation, to let the county know, if you're going to allow increased development, these are the guidelines you need to go by, and these are the things you need to protect.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you much. And my colleagues were looking at me because we don't have folks sitting in the audience talking, back up at the desk, and the county attorney is shaking her head. But I heard you say that you lived out there for 38 years and paid taxes on that property. So for the moment, I heard you say you lived there for 38 years
Yes, sir.
and had paid taxes.
Yes.
So your little outburst didn't bother me. I think you've earned that. Commissioner Welch, I would love to see your leadership in pursuing a revised management plan. This your district. It comes on your clock. Something ought to be did by this right here. We'll be working with her. Whatever the new cluster of citizens might be, I think just personally that the district commissioner ought not, I wouldn't sleep on this. And I'm encouraging you to pull together a new look to work with our staff in the interest of our board. We love Lake Ammonia. I think dynamics unique to Lake Ammonia, different from Munson, though she mentioned Munson. Munson, Anna, is Munson spring fed? Munson is not spring fed. Huh? But if I remember correctly, Lake Ammonia is spring fed. It's not, but it's tributary fed from Georgia streams, and okay, I knew water came from the outside. So those dynamics are special things that I think the district commissioner would be willing to work with. Those things being said, Ms. Vice Chair?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I wanted to let you know that this slide is a
Oh, thank you. Yes, sir.
population that has been known to create from time to time. But it is a word.
That comes with having great funkability.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, I do understand exactly where you're coming from, and the things you're requesting. And Commissioner Welch, I yield to your leadership on where to go from that, you being the district commissioner. And what I can say is that you do a very good job of representing your district and giving them the things that they need and listening to the things they would like to see. And so, most of all, I want to let you know I appreciate you coming and speaking. A lot of times when these kind of decisions are made, people will come and they will come after they're made. But to know and hear your thoughts right now is valuable to us as a board. I can't say any more than it's already been said, especially what our district commissioner had to say, in that it's going to be a struggle for a little while we're looking to widen that road down there. I actually lived in Ox Bottom for a little bit, and so I know what it's like to try to come up and down that road, Benjamin Road, especially when you're trying to get to work. So I look forward to the widening, but in the stead, I believe that we can start working on some of the other things that you had talked about. But again, I do yield to the district commissioner in getting those things started. So, Mr. Chair, I won't even make a motion. I'll look to the district commissioner to kind of dress us out on this way.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Mr. Chair, thank you for your encouragement, and Mr. Vice Chair, thank you for your kind words. Ms. Hicks, you know whose team I'm on. So we will take a fresh look at the management plan, and we will follow up with you directly, because the development piece is kind of on, the train is moving, but we want to make sure that the lake is in good shape and that we do what we can to keep it in good shape, because it is a gem in the north part of our county, and a lot of people love it and enjoy it and recreate on it. So with that being said, I would go ahead and move option 1.
Got a motion from District Commissioner Brian Welch, second by Commissioner Christian Dozier, and comments coming from the Vice Chairman.
One last thing. We talked a lot about lakes and ponds today, and water bodies and water quality. We are so well known for our environmental features in Leon County, especially for our trees. Wouldn't it be nice one day to be known for our water bodies as well? when you talk about the different water bodies, I mean, and our citizens are starting to come to us and say more and more how they like to see our lakes look and what the quality of them and the way they would like to enjoy them. And that's kind of where the conversation about the lake versus pond versus stormwater facility came from, in that making a distinction, but understanding that, I mean, I don't think there's a place in North Florida that's known for its environmental beauty more than the city of Tallahassee and Leon County. I think we should embrace every bit of that. And I believe our water quality and our lake and our water bodies should be included in that. And so as we continue through Blueprint to work through our chain of lakes in that way, just a little thought there that what if we could be just as known for our water bodies as we are our trees? I think that would add only to the mystique of who we are as a community. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Dozier.
Well, I just can't quite help it, Mr. Vice Chair. I appreciate you saying that. A year ago, we had a lot of discussions, and whatever we call it, a city-county watershed management plan, we went back and forth. I mean, there was a lot of reasons not to use that terminology. But a better working relationship with our city, and I would say our surrounding counties. These watersheds are huge. We may not be able to clean up every mistake that has happened, every brownfield, everything like that. We're working on it. City's working on it. But you are absolutely right. You remember that item years and years ago, I think 25, Mr. County Administrator, is that right? 25 boat landings? So round about that? Growing up here, I was surprised by that number. I knew we had a lot, but I didn't know we had 25 that the county manages. That's huge. So you're absolutely right. I know with Visit Tallahassee's page, with other, Trailahassee, you can find the paddling ways, right? I can kind of see Carrie nodding, yes. But I think we should absolutely do more to elevate it, so I appreciate you bringing that up. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vice Chair, I think you make a significant point, and I think that these topical water bodies are the canary in the mine with respect to the waters that we drink. I'm focused and concerned about water bodies, but I'm more concerned about drinking water. But I do think that topically, these lakes indicate the potential quality of our drinking water in the future. And what we do have here in North Florida is a distinction of a very high qualitative drinking water. And we need to preserve, I believe, our water bodies in order to protect low surface drinking water. And to the extent that there's a correlation, we have to be earnest and urgent and fight a good fight to protect all of those waters, both surface and below. We have a motion, we have a second, we've had discussion. All in favor, please say aye. Passes unanimously. Our next public hearing is County Administrator.
Mr. Chairman, I believe that puts us back on the general business agenda. Item 27? No? I stand corrected, Mr. Chairman. Item number 31. Sorry, I thought we were there. It was, this item, Commissioners, has to, sorry, I'm having a little bit of a technological problem here. I've got it now. Item number 31, Commissioners, is your first and only hearing to approve the Bell's Landscaping Design Type C site and development application. And we have no speakers on this item, and staff is recommending option 1.
Whose district is this?
So moved, Mr. Chair. It's District 5.
District 5 Commissioner, you made that motion, seconded by
Yes, sir.
our at-large Commissioner. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. It passes unanimously. Back to general business.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That puts us on item number 27. This item, Commissioners, seeks your approval for a 2-year funding agreement with COCA to administer the remaining tourism development tax dedicated for cultural facilities, the matching grant program. Commissioners, this is in support of the 2014 Cultural Plan Update, and the board previously approved the creation of the matching grant. The matching grant program leveraged dedicated tourism development tax in support of capital improvement needs for local cultural organizations, as you'll recall. And the last grants were awarded back in 2020, and projects were completed, to be completed by September 22. One of the grants, again, which comes to our recommendation before you today to extend the time allowed for two applicants. One of those grants was to be awarded to the Tallahassee Museum. However, the museum was unable to complete their proposal within the original grant timeframes. At this time, COCA is requesting a 2-year agreement which will allow Tallahassee Museum the necessary time to construct the proposed new exhibit at the museum and allow for time for one additional grantee to complete reporting requirements on the grant that they were approved to receive. With that, Commissioners, we're recommending option 1. We have no speakers. We're happy to answer any questions you might have.
Second.
Okay. Got a motion from Vice Chair, a second from Commissioner Minor, and in queue, Commissioner Dozier.
Commissioner Cummings, did you have a comment again? No. Got it. I just quickly, Mr. Chair, I think it is the FAMU Black Archives as well was the other project. As board's representative on COCA, just wanted to appreciate Russell Doss from Tallahassee Museum for joining us tonight. It's good to see you. And this represents a lot of work at the COCA board, legal staff, I'm sure county and COCA, and of course, Visit Tallahassee. And I think it's in a very good place. There's been a lot of moving parts, and to complete, to fill in just a little bit of extra comment in what the county administrator said, which is absolutely accurate. There's been a lot of moving parts on this. We all recognize everything was done in good faith. There was a lot of things out of folks' control. So I'm really glad that these two projects get to move forward with the extension. Thank you.
Okay. Is this like carryover money? Was this in the early consent item?
This is a standalone item to approve a 2-year funding agreement with COCA for the utilization of tourism tax dollars on our existing matching grant program.
We don't need nothing special to carry money forward, do we?
No.
Okay. All right. We got a motion coming from Vice Chair, a second coming from Commissioner Minor. And you like to speak, Commissioner Minor? Okay. Hearing no other comments or input, those in favor of option 1, please say aye. It carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 28. Next one. Okay. Ms. Vice Chairman? Okay, very good.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Agenda item number 28 is an overview of local ordinances that require rent increase notification to certain residential tenants and that allows such tenants to be released from their residential leases without penalty in certain circumstances. Staff is recommending option 1. To my knowledge, there are no speakers on this item.
Ms. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe option 1 is to accept the report and ask you guys to bring us back a draft ordinance, correct? Or is this to accept the report, option 1?
Option 1 is just to accept the overview.
Okay.
Option 3 would also be board direction in the form of whatever additional direction the board would like to offer.
So I'm going to go ahead and make the motion for option 1 and ask that the county attorney bring back a draft ordinance specific to Leon County. I know there are a lot of options there. There was a lot of things, a lot of information you gave us there, but I will want anything that comes back to us to be uniquely for us. And so, but I do believe there's something there that we could chew on as far as this is concerned. So this is extremely. I guess it'd be a public hearing when you brought it back. Yes. So that would be my motion. Option 1, and ask the county attorney brings back a draft ordinance that's specific to Leon County.
And are you requesting that a public hearing be scheduled with that, or would you be holding off and just looking at a draft
Let's just
ordinance?
look at the draft ordinance first.
Thank you.
And then, so let's hold off on the public hearing. Let's just, agenda item, looking at the draft ordinance first. That'd be my motion.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion second by our at-large commissioners, Commissioner Minor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. If you all will recall that this agenda item was requested by myself, and then the chairman added something to it in terms of an element of this on allowing a current renter to exit their lease if the rent increase was larger than 5%. The county attorney and I met yesterday to talk about this and about the details of the agenda item. And the enforcement is really the tricky part, right? Mm-hmm. How do you enforce it? And which agency do you request to do the enforcement? Is it law enforcement? Is it code compliance? Is it something else? And many of those actually would require some resources to do. But I think this is necessary. I mean, the Florida Tax Watch did the study in March of this year that found that rent has increased in Tallahassee by 15% over the last year. Other parts of the state are much higher, even 30%. But 15% is a large increase for people that are just struggling to get by with rising costs. So I think it's necessary. One thing I wanted to try to explore was trying to give us some options on where specifically to apply this to, because there are many different types of renters. You've got the student body, you've got single families, you've got first-time would-be homeowners that are simply trying to figure out how to get that step to become homeowners. You've got a lot of different types, and as well as seniors, the elderly. One thing I was hoping we could do with this motion is add to it, when this comes back with the draft ordinance, to actually provide for us a little bit more detail on the demographics of what renters are in Leon County. Because you're talking about the unincorporated area only, is that correct, Mr. Vice Chair?
Yes, I don't believe we can make this countywide, can we?
You could.
Oh. I tell you what I want to do is, at this point, Commissioner Minor, because you were passionate about this, I'm going to yield my motion to you to allow you to put in it what you would like. And I actually do believe that this should probably be something that's more citywide and countywide, but I'll yield to you. So, Madam Attorney, I will rescind my motion and allow Commissioner Meyer to make the motion, and I'll be his second.
That sounds good. Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chair. What I would probably do is I would instead of drafting the ordinance, what I would do is ask for more demographic analysis on what these renters are in Leon County, because what the nature of who those renters are might govern how we actually decide to impose the policy and the ordinance. And then, of course, the hurdle we've got to overcome is figuring out how we can simply implement logistics on code enforcement, on enforcement of the actual. Should a landlord violate this with the 60-day notice, advance notice, what happens then? That's really the crux of it. And I predict that when this does come back to us, much of the discussion on whether or not we implement this is going to be based on whether or not we want to conquer that hill. Because the enforcement, I think, is going to be the big part of it, based on what the county attorney talked with me about during the briefing. So why don't we do this? Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chair. Let's take the motion to actually have a further analysis on the type of renters that we have in Leon County, and then propose a recommendation on what that enforcement might be. If I remember right, Madam County Attorney, Orange County had a code compliance avenue with a magistrate infused in that, right?
They actually have a civil citation program, but complaint intake and investigation is initially through their code compliance staff. But that varies to some extent around the state. Chapter 162 authorizes different use of code enforcement in different ways. Ours is very different in material ways from around the state. So to your point, the enforcement mechanism and what that would look like here, and what works for what we already have versus what we may have to create potentially, that's a part of the discussion with regard to enforcement.
Okay, all right. So that would be my motion, is to do that. And then this is not a silver bullet for rent increases. All this would do, even what's proposed here in the agenda item that we've looked at from other South Florida communities, simply just gives renters more advance notice on when that increase is coming. And so we need to really think about is what the county attorney might be proposing in the next agenda item. Is that new infrastructure, is that new cost going to be worth that 60-day advance notice on top of what they already have now within their contracts? So, yes, Madam County Attorney.
Point of information, so is it option 1 with the additional direction under option 3? Is that the motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
And that's for an agenda item to come back, looking at density, what was it again? Looking at
Demographics. Yeah.
Demographics. So it'd be just another agenda item. Yes?
Because that may govern what we decide to do.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
You know, if a large, I'm sure student renters are probably the biggest group, if not, among the biggest, but there might be, single families, for example. Knowing what those demographics are might help guide us on what we might want to adopt.
Can we break those demographics down by district? Or by zip? Or is it even worth it? No, it's not. Okay, fine. I'll second that.
All right.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Dozier?
I like this direction more than moving straight to drafting an ordinance. It is interesting to me that, this is an issue that's getting a lot of discussion around the state. The item is robust, great analysis and comparison of what's happening around the state. If we were to highlight in the paper that we were looking at anything related to notice or other things like that, enforcement, we might get more comments from landlords, from tenants, from others. Just bringing more people into this discussion before we make a decision. That's really the point here. I shared this with the county attorney we've all been out in the community a lot, hearing from people. I do not hear the notice issue as much as I can't find a place that's affordable. A lot of students are saying they can't find affordable student housing. We saw the issues that, the challenges FAMU had this year, particularly on campus and off campus housing. But we've been talking about affordable and workforce, all different types of housing. So just getting notice doesn't necessarily guarantee you've got another place you can move into that is affordable, right? So is it possible to, you asked about the demographic data on who is a renter, right? The question might be, what is the average rent in town? What areas do we see the average rent? Where has there been an increase? And whether or not we have that data within some of our local, like Office of Economic Vitality or others, some of our local information. As County Administrator, Madam County Attorney, is that data available to look at average rents over time for the last few years? And we would have to look at pre-pandemic, of course.
I am not sure. We'll have to really investigate and figure out what information is available, and that's certainly something we would include in the agenda item.
Commissioner Minor, I think finding out if that data is available, one, would be, I would suggest that might be a friendly amendment to your motion. That may also illuminate what data we may want to have, and perhaps with our robust system of data and analysis of property within the community, housing is direct relationship to economic development. So could Office of Economic Vitality add a component to look at this kind of data in the future if it doesn't exist? I think that would be very helpful just in the whole housing conversation.
I agree. Mr. Chairman, really quickly, just in response. Commissioner Dozier, those are real good points to raise. Florida Tax Watch did the study of
Yes.
rental increases across the state.
That was it.
Divided by metro area. Tallahassee is one of those, which is where I got the 15%.
Yep.
I suspect, though I don't know for sure, that they can break down some of that data from that source that they got from. So I suspect that the data is readily available. We could even go through Florida Tax Watch to get it.
I think that would be great. I was just suggesting that being as part of the agenda item coming back, as well as your demographic data on what type. And when you say demographic, it's the type of rental property we have, because that was really the discussion in the item. If it's at apartments, is it month to month? Is
Studio,
it
yep.
Studio, all types of things like that. Okay. So that's one part. I think getting more data, more analysis on that is going to help. The second part, though, would be this enforcement question, I'm just going to chime in with what you said earlier and talk with the county attorney. Thank you for the overview. It sounds like other communities have really had a challenge with enforcement. And a lot of the rental property we have is in the city limits. So to do this just for the unincorporated area, have the cost, I mean, I think this needs to open up, and we say this ad nauseum all the time. We need to talk with the city about this. Absolutely. I mean, this should be something that we look at unified. Having a joint proposal, I know that's challenging sometimes, but I'm just going to put that out there because a lot of our rentals are within the city limits. That's it. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Commissioners. I think that the discussion has gone in two different areas, and it's confusing what y'all talking about. If we're talking about what you're asking is information which tends to lead us for rent control, are we interested in setting rent control in Leon County? We're not. So we're asking for data about rent and sociological da-da-da. The question here tonight before us, if I'm right, Madam Attorney, is it right, fair, and our bounden duty for renters to receive notice within 60 days or 30 days or 15 days if rent increases will occur at the end of the expiration of the lease agreement? That's the question. Y'all looking at stuff that ain't got nothing to do with the question. Ain't this question about notice? And if you're going up on rent, that you let people know 30 days or 50 days or 45 days in advance? Is that what you're asking us to consider?
This was an overview of just ordinances related to rent notification for residential tenancies. Yeah.
All right, so question on this right here is, do we want to require landlords to put in their lease agreement their duty to notify a tenant of a rent increase by 45 days, 60 days, whatever we say? That's what this is. I don't know what y'all are looking for. What we have to give is an opinion about the number of days for notice if we believe that the landlord should give tenants. Now, you're right, Commissioner Minor. Folk done got jacked up all over the state. And ever since President Biden told folk they didn't have to be suspending rent payment, landlords across America have come back with a vengeance because they were under some communist regime that they were told you can't get your money. And it's been hell to pay ever since President Biden did this. And these landlords recognizing that they have private agreements that their government can suspend, they done lost their mind and gone crazy. Now, if we want to do rent control, let's talk about that. But what we're here to talk about, is it right? And I think so it is. That if you're going to jack somebody's rent beyond 10%, 15, 20, whatever, you ought to let them know before that agreement expires and give them a chance to bail out and not be bound to some agreement of which it might be the tenant's burden to notify that they don't want to accede to continuing terms of a lease agreement. I don't know where we are with this motion, but it's not addressing the issue that's before us tonight. Yes, Commissioner Dozier.
I think on a human level, I agree with you. If we were all landlords, I would hope we would all give tenants 60 days notice. At least we know what it's like, right? I mean, you can't just turn around 1 month, 2 weeks, and have a higher bill. A lot of folks can't do that. I agree with you. That makes sense to go to notice. But sometimes we have to, it's our job to get down into the weeds and look at the details, because there's legal structures. There are rules about this. And if we pass something, put an ordinance in place, it's costing us money, and it may not get us what we want. That's what the analysis tells us. So the information Commissioner Minor is asking for will help clarify whether or not and what we can do, because we also got to be responsible for the taxpayers' money. Just putting something on paper because it's a good idea, it's the human thing to do, okay, we can do that. But we're a county government. When we do that, it comes with regulations. it comes with enforcement, it comes with other steps, and we're spending taxpayer dollars. So it's exactly what we're talking about. I think Commissioner Minor's in the right place to get more specifics so we can make this decision and try to help the situation and balance all of these different issues and the legal issues that we have to adhere to. Thank you.
Vice Chairman and Commissioner Meyer.
Yeah, I think Commissioner Dozier does make a good point. There was some of the same conversations we had around, we were having the conversation about looking at civil citation for 20 grams or less. And one of the things we talked about was enforcement. We talked about whether we were going to actually be able to get the state attorney and the sheriff to go ahead and enforce that and recognize what we're saying. And so some of these things, I do believe, you're right. As we look at it, we have to figure out what we can and cannot do. And I was actually looking it up just a second ago. We were talking about rent control ordinances and things of that nature. And we don't have any in Florida. And I don't even know if we can in Florida. I do know and what I'm reading is that they have them in New York, but it's New York, you know? So I would just say that I think we're in the right vein of trying to see what we can do here, or at least having the information come back to us to see what the options are. And I appreciate Commissioner Minor's leadership on it. And then again, Commissioner Pryor, I understand completely where you're coming from, and especially people like myself who grew up in a house where my mom did rent all my life. It's a sensitive issue to try to think about when you think about the fact that the rents can go up to a place that cause you to not be able to afford to live in the place that you call home, not because you don't want to, but because you can't afford to. But there are certain parameters that we have to work around as a board that recognize the fact that enforcement is an issue, and recognize the fact that we're not just the only level of government in the state of Florida or in the United States, and we got to work within being a cog in that wheel. So I'm as passionate about it as you are, Commissioner, and I look forward to the information that Commissioner Minor is asking to come back to see what we can do, if not to give people some relief when it comes to control, at least give them information that they can possibly use to give them options on whether or not they will be stuck in something that's increasing, more than 10%. Because if you sign a 2-year lease and he decided to go up 5-10%, he gonna let you out just because he went up. That landlord ain't gonna let you out just because he went up. This will provide some cover for that. So I look forward to the information coming back, and thank you, Commissioner Minor, for your leadership, and thank you, Commissioner Proctor, because as Commissioner Minor said, Mr. Chairman, you were the one who brought up the point of putting a clause in there that allows for the renter to be able to get out of the lease if it increases past a certain point within that 60-day period, which I don't even know if we can do that. I don't know if we can put that in place, but all in all, what we're working towards is a good thing for those who are stuck in the situations that we're trying to help. Thank you, Commissioner Minor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Minor, Commissioner Cummings.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chair, you basically said a lot of what I was going to say right now. Two things real important. We're not talking about rent controls. Should anyone be listening at home or reading about this in the paper, we're not talking about rent controls. We were talking about what we can do in terms of increasing the notice that tenants have should their rent be proposed to be increased for greater than 5% or some other percentage. And what we're doing is this whole thing was started because of what some other communities around Florida are trying to do, other counties are trying to do to cope with their rental increases they've had. I think it's Miami has, in the space of 1 year, a 2-bedroom unit has increased by 34% in Miami. We're not having that type of misfortune here. We're at 15%, which is also very high at a time when people are really struggling to make ends meet with rising costs. So this is not about rent controls. What we're doing is we're trying to figure out what we can do as a county commission, as a county government, to try to bring more advance notice to people that might have a rent increase. As the Vice Chair noted, if you've got kids who are going to school, 30-day notice is probably not enough time for you to find a suitable apartment that your family can afford in this market. So looking forward to having this agenda item come back. Mr. Vice Chair, I want to thank you for your support. Mr. Chairman, thank you for adding that other component to it. I think that's going to make it even stronger when it comes back to us as an agenda item to review. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. County Commissioner Cummings, your recommendation.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe we've got to look at this from a holistic standpoint, and I believe based on the comments from my fellow commissioners, perhaps, I know the county attorney will do a great job. The agenda item that was brought before us today, the historical analysis of what's going on throughout the state of Florida and those jurisdictions that have adopted these types of ordinances, is very helpful and very instructive. But I think, excuse me, Leon County is unique, and I think we've got to balance landlords, we got to balance tenants, we've got to look at notice, and we also have to look at enforcement as well. And I believe, if I may, Mr. Vice Chair, Madam County Attorney, interest now, landlord-tenant issues are pretty much addressed in small claims court or county court, depending on the amount involved. So if we're looking at something aside from that, in the Landlord-Tenant Act, we're looking at enforcement and perhaps some other entity or individual, a magistrate or a hearing officer to do the enforcement. So it's a lot of balancing that has to go on, notice and policies and procedures as well. So it's not a slight undertaking. I think it's a complex undertaking. And I agree with Commissioner Proctor that we've got to, look at it holistically and be serious about it, look at all aspects of it. So I think we're on the right track. And so I support the motion because I think it's not haphazard. It's taking our time, looking at it, bringing it back, gathering information, and then we can decide or not whether or not it's something that we, as the county commission, need to get involved with, and whether it's in the best interest of our citizens overall or not. So thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, as you were talking about, this no doubt is a state legislative issue to me. Counties should not have bootleg, jackleg policies here or there. It ought to be uniform. I wonder about the question of if you are a renter in Lee County or Collier County in Florida after Hurricane Ian, and your house is halfway blown down, do you owe rent this month? Do you owe rent? Is it suspended? Is there anything in the lease agreement that says that you owe? Or if you have a mortgage and half the roof ran off the house and you've been hit by Ion, are there? I don't know the answer to those questions, but what I do know and what we are recognizing is that renters in the state of Florida, possibly in America, are a unprotected class, and that 34% increase, persons who have mortgages are not hit by 34% increases in a mortgage acceleration. We even have laws in the state of Florida. Vince, how much can we cap going up increase on property taxes? Is it 3% or 5% in the state of Florida?
3%.
3%. So no matter what happens, if you are a, quote, property owner, there's protection. Your tax don't go up. And if you have a fixed mortgage, it don't jump around like that. But renters are an unprotected class. And when you can go up, hit somebody 15, 20, 30%, and they just got to take it, I mean, what are we saying in America? That's the problem. The valuation of people who are owners versus those who ain't got. And those who ain't got can get price gouged. And I don't care if you paying $800 in Tallahassee for a room because his family is homecoming, or whether or not you're going up on your rent and you're a month-to-month tenant by 30% because the landlord says so. That's price gouging. It's just not fair. It's not justifiable. So what does Social Security do? Social Security increases will help us, and it's indexed to what? Cost of living. Okay? That's kind of fair. They don't look and say, well, let's see how many poor folk over here. Let's see how many this going to have. They're not doing this demographic thing that we're doing. They say that it's a set number. it's based on, and it affects everybody the same. And I think that since we're going to go down this demographic alley, what I want to know is where are the increases of rent occurring more steeply in this community? And if in fact, Commissioner Vice Chair 32304 is getting slam bam worse than anybody else, I want to know how steep the increase in the geographic areas, who's taking it. And I'm almost willing to know the outcome, and I'm not going to even, cast any shadow upon the objective results. But I know, because I lived here long enough to know who gets slammed and bammed when there is absolutely nothing that countenance the greed of those who own and can take advantage of people who have no defense. That's where we at right now. Whether or not we want to try to protect these marginalized students who barely can hang on, and for a landlord to stick their parents, stick them with a high increase and they get no notice on it, it just ain't fair. Even the bank is going to give you notice if something triggers in your mortgage that allows them to go up. You get more dignity, but if you're just paying rent, nothing. Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Cummings, were you? Okay, Commissioner, Ms. Vice Chairman? All right. Here are no other comments on this matter. All in favor of the motion made by Commissioner Minor, please say aye. Aye. It passes unanimously. Our next item, Mr. Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This item item number 29, seeks full board appointments to the Canopy Roads Citizen Committee, Career Source, the Leon County Commission on the Status of Women and Girls, and the Tourist Development Council. Option 1, Mr. Chairman, seeks the board's appointment of 2 citizens for the Canopy Roads Committee for a 3-year term, and you have 3 eligible applicants before you.
Commissioners, what is your pleasure on the first board? Canopy Roads.
I would move reappointment of the 2 ladies seeking reappointment to the.
Second.
All right, we got a motion second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Our next board.
Option 2 is to appoint 1 citizen, Christina Chansey, to Career Source for the remainder of an unexpired term.
Got a
Second.
motion and a second by Minor, second by Welch. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
Option 3 seeks your ratification of the Commission on the Status of Women and Girls appointment of citizen LaQuisha Persack for a 2-year term.
Motion? All right, we got a motion second for Ms. LaQuisha Persack to the Status of Women and Girls appointment. All in favor, please say aye. Unanimously, it passes.
And option 4 seeks your appointment of 1 citizen to the hotelier seat to the TDC, and the eligible applicants are before you in Joshua Brock and Emily Johnson Truitt.
Is this one or the other or both? Okay.
1.
Commissioners, what's your pleasure between Joshua Brock and Emily Johnson Truitt? Is there offer of one of these names? Anybody know one of these people? Is our TDC director got a recommendation? We don't know any of these. Madam TDC director, we are stumped. This is rare that Commissioner Dozier don't know the people being nominated. And I don't know.
Mr. Chair, I thought since this is my last meeting, the rest of the board should make these appointments, so I was sitting back on this one. I just wasn't going to mention it. These are your appointments going forward.
We'd be honored if you made the appointment.
Last bite.
You would just ask Carrie.
Help us to understand your understanding of these 2 names that are being offered.
And I say this in all sincerity, they both are true leaders in the community. We cannot go wrong either way. We work with Joshua. He is the general manager of the Holiday Inn out on Appalachian Parkway. Emily Truitt is the general manager of Spring Hill Suites at Tallahassee and I-10. Worked with both extensively. We're handling a lot of groups, and I wish I could tell you, one or the other, because we both, they both would be excellent. So it's really just, again.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner
Carrie.
Dozier, you could get us off the hot seat. Would you please nominate somebody for us?
And quite honestly, it just got me back, because I do agree, Terry. Both of these folks would be incredibly good. It does, I mean, is there any reason to look at location? We've had hoteliers on the board who've been represented downtown. We've had hoteliers that have represented different areas of the community. These two hotels, one's on Appalachian Parkway, I believe, one's on Timberlane. So have we heard from people throughout our county in different hotels? I mean, if we're picking between two good people, that's really something I looked at in the applications to make sure that we're getting, even if it's at different times in their appointment, you know, over time, if we're getting representation from the whole county. So.
Right now, on the TDC, we do not have any hotel representatives along Appalachian Parkway.
Right, okay.
And I appreciate your thinking
Yes.
exactly for geographical representation, but we do have a TDC member, the hotelier that is located along I-10, like the other.
Like the other one, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that would be where I would come down on this, is just to get a perspective from business folks in different parts of the county. So that would be my recommendation, and that would be Mr. Brock then. Correct? Well, of course.
Thank you. What's the makeup of the board look like right now as far as gender is concerned?
That would be the other question.
It's in the item. I would say right now, I'm trying to think of the balance of what we have. We have a really good balance.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, yeah, 5 males, 3 females.
Three females? And you said who, Commissioner Dozier? 3 females. Yes.
I mean, we could, this should, Ms. Johnson Truitt, sorry, I was getting back to that is an absolute, you know, good thing to look at the diversity of our boards. We do that as well. I think there are diversity in a lot of different areas that we could look at. That's the only reason why I went to the geographic area, just to make sure hoteliers from different parts of the community are represented. But again, and I can back up now, both of these individuals would be fabulous. So I think Ms. Johnson Truitt would be fantastic.
Mr. Chair, I do feel obligated, thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I do feel obligated to acknowledge that Ms. Truitt is in District 4, the Spring Hill Suites, which is a new hotel in the community, and with the redevelopment of the Market Street area and the improvements that are being made there, and the idea of creating kind of a district in the market area, shopping district, I think it may be valuable to have a voice on the TDC that represents the sort of the new shopping district we're trying to revitalize there in the Market District. Just a thought.
Ms. Vice Chairman?
So in that thought, I will make a motion for Ms. Truitt.
I'll second that. The reason I asked the question, Commissioner Dozier, because I was the one who came back here and said we need to make sure there's diversity race-wise and gender-wise on the board, which this is probably the longest conversation we had over an appointment in a long time. But it was a good conversation. I know she's going to be good for the board, and it does provide, I guess that puts us at 5-4 as far as gender diversity goes on that board. So thank you. Why didn't you speak up before?
Yeah, ask who knew.
I was gonna give the honor to our dear departing, particularly dynamic female commissioner.
Yeah, I'll gladly second that motion.
Very good. All right, we have a motion for Ms. Truitt. All in favor, please say aye. Passes unanimously. Is that it for 29?
That can,
Mr. Chair, there was on the option 3, there was a specific conflict that I believe we had to vote on specifically, maybe, to waive the conflict when we appointed Ms. Persett. Or voting for her automatically waived the conflict? Okay.
Point of information, all it required, as long as she received a 2/3 vote, it waived the conflict.
Okay, great. Thank you.
What was the conflict?
She worked.
It was a disclosure of an employment conflict. The employer she works for has a contract with the county, but she has no direct interaction in that contractual relationship, but she was required to disclose it.
Very good. All right. Well, we settled that agenda item. Is that accurate? Have we completed?
thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes your items on the agenda tonight and brings you to citizens to be heard on non-agenda items. and we have several speakers.
Very good. Let's recognize our on-agenda speakers.
Sure. First speaker is Nicole Baker, to be followed by Brenda Stubbs.
Hey. You're welcome to our meeting. We would like to hear your name and your address for the record, and 3 minutes to address the board.
Okay, Nicole Baker, 16024 Fletcher Creek Court, Tallahassee, Florida. I've lived in the Fort Braden community for 28 years. I attended the new Fort Braden School 1st through 8th grade, where I met my now husband and father of our child. My roots run deep in this community. Fort Braden and the people who reside here are very dear to me. Since the passing of Jimbo, we have not had a commissioner to advocate for us or speak on our behalf when it comes to changes in our part of District 2. In the past month or so, valued pieces of history that exist in our community are being ripped away from us without us being in the know or having a say, from the name change of our community center to the demolition of special trees in the community. My main focus today is the majestic live oak at the Fort Braden Community Center. Myself, Beth Young, and many others in the community have been rallying together to save this tree. As you know, this tree interferes with Duke Energy's plans to install new transmission lines. I've been in contact with Steve Godfrey, the project manager at Duke Energy for our region. He states you all are working on a solution together. I've sent emails to all of you with no response. The lack of transparency and communication on the subject is extremely frustrating and disheartening. Again, being that we have no one to represent us, our voice in the matter is unfair and wrong. We have an active petition with the number of signatures still climbing. We have a Facebook group in support of the tree with almost 400 members and more joining every day. We had a last-minute event in support of saving the tree, and with only a 12-hour notice, we had a wonderful turnout. This community cares, and we should have a say on what is proposed for our community. Based on our research, this tree is close to 200 years old, if not older, and was a landmark in the community before the old schoolhouse was constructed. This tree was alive during times you read about in history books, dating back to the Second Seminole War in 1839, when Fort Braden was established in our now community. There's so much history within this tree. Back when the old schoolhouse opened in 1927, children played, learned, and spent time together under the shade of this oak tree. Current generations also enjoy its beauty and shade that it provides. This oak tree is part of not only the community's history, but my family's as well. Over the decades that I've lived in Fort Braden, I have many special memories intertwined with this tree. My family's had many gatherings, including family reunions, baby showers, and so much more. Aside from the importance of this community tree in my personal life, it has been part of so much more. From Girl Scout troops doing arts and crafts under its shade, rec park leagues, political voting events, craft shows, baby showers, family reunions, the list goes on and on. This tree is a staple in our community. This isn't just a tree, this is a significant part of mine and the community's past and present. It should be part of our future as well. This tree has been here for many generations and should remain many more. By destroying this beautiful monument in our community, you are erasing our past and taking opportunities away from the future. I'm asking you, the county commissioners and Duke Energy, to leave this tree for future generations to come. Out of the hundreds and thousands of trees that have already been destroyed on this project, the least that could be done is to leave this one standing. Destroying this is environmental vandalism and cannot be undone. I also fully support keeping the community center name the same to preserve our community's history for generations to come. This history of this tree and the original name of our center go hand in hand. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. Next speaker.
Next speaker, Brenda Stubbs, to be followed by Gina Utz.
Ms. Stones, please state your name and address for our records.
Brenda Stubbs, 33 Oscar Harvey Road, Tallahassee. And I'm here about the Fort Braden Community Center name change, and I'd like to start off with reading something that was written by Eddie Mae Allen Harvey. In 1921, I married my school sweetheart, William Oscar Harvey, the son of Oscar and Laura Harvey. We wanted a home and family, so we bought 13 acres where the Fort Braden Community Center now stands, along with the property where the existing Jane Sauls Library is. They bought that property for $600. At that time, we wanted a good school for our children. We were blessed with 3 beautiful children, 1 boy and 2 girls. My husband and I talked it over and agreed to donate the property to the school board if they would agree to build a school. They did, and all 3 of our children later graduated from Fort Braden School. An out-of-state contractor was hired and stayed with us for free We laughed that the building was so strong because I fed him on cornbread, meat, potatoes, and lima beans. My husband got a job driving the school bus for $50 a month, and he had to buy his own bus. At the time, the school board did not furnish the drivers the bus nor the gas, so they had to do that themselves. I was the substitute driver, so when he could work at another job, I would drive the bus in the afternoons. So why is that important? This lady that wrote this was my grandmother's sister. My family has been in the Fort Braden area since 1822. They were some of the very first, if not the first settlers on that property. And this is very personal to me. I think that we should leave Fort Braden School or the Fort Braden Community Center alone. I love Jimbo. He was a great man. He did a lot for the kids in that area. You know, we all miss him. My kids went to Fort Braden, and, you know, my grandmother went to that old school. I went to that old school. My mama, two of my boys. And then, you know, my kids went to the other Fort Braden with Jimbo. So, yes, I absolutely agree he should be honored. He was a good man. He has a precious family. But we need to do it at the school, like the gymnasium or something there where he was so prominent and so good and all. Let's don't mess with the community center. You know, I personally would like to see something in honor of my great aunt and great uncle, you know, for that, because that school, that building would not exist if it had not been for their foresight and their vision to have it there. Sure, there may have been something somewhere else, but it wouldn't be that building and it wouldn't be located there. So I really pray that you'll listen to what we're saying and give it your deepest consideration. We would greatly appreciate it because right now we have no representation. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Gina Oots to be followed by Christopher Harrison.
Ms. Oots, if you please state your name and address for the records.
Yes, my name is Gina Oots. I live at 15615 Bluntstown Highway, Tallahassee, Florida, Fort Braden community. I'm here to talk about the renaming of the school. I mean, the community center. It's not a school anymore. And the reason I feel so strongly about it is because this is the Fort Braden community, not the Jimbo Jackson. And this is in no way does this honor what Jimbo stood for in our area. Like Brenda said, he was a coach, he was a teacher, he was a vice principal, and he was a principal at our existing school now. And he gave his blood, sweat, and tears for our kids so that they would have his blood, sweat, and tears for our kids so that they would have the best education they could get and deserved to make themselves better. The history of it, the fort was built in the early 1800s. Families were already established there when it was abandoned. In, I think, 1840 it was abandoned. Families were already established there. I'm so nervous. Anyway. It just doesn't need to be changed because it is a vital part of our community. We hold weddings, baby showers, bridal showers, family reunions, picnics there. It represents our community and what everybody out there lives for, the rural community. And it's not fair because we don't have a representative up there that y'all made the decision to change the name on a recommendation from someone that really doesn't understand our community out there. We're a very special community. We're all very close, and we care about the Jackson family. We care about what they're going through because they lost their mother and then they lost their father. That is a very, very tragic for them. I understand that. But honor him at the school where he gave all for our children, the gymnasium or the walking part, the whole school, if that's what it takes. But please, please make a motion to put it on the table so then when we get a representative, they can plead our case for us to not have it changed. Thank you. And also, I'm sorry, we made a non-official petition to see how many people we could get to sign it. We did this in 3 nights, and in 3 nights, over 275 signatures we got for people coming by and not wanting our school, not wanting the community center to be changed. Thank you.
Christopher Harrison, to be followed by Karma Harvey.
Mr. Harrison, please state your name and address for our record.
My name is Christopher Harrison. I live at 16024 Fletcher Creek Court. I've been a resident of the Fort Braden community for 28 years. I attended Fort Braden School from kindergarten through 8th grade along with my now wife. The Fort Braden Community Center bears its name in recognition of the American military fort constructed in 1839 on the Ochlockonee River during the Second Semino-American War. The purpose of the fort being to assist in the conflict meant it was no longer needed after the war ended in 1842. This may have been the end of the military installation, but it was the beginning of the rural farming community developing its identity upon adopting the name of the abandoned fort. A little less than 100 years later, the tract of land was donated and the schoolhouse was built to accommodate the growing community's need for education in the rural area. This was the original Fort Braden School. The building that stands now as the Fort Braden Community Center is the proposed name change of the historic monument is a very kind and empathetic gesture towards remembering Jimbo Jackson. However, this gesture is misguided and not reflecting the will or values of the Fort Braden community. I think I speak for my fellow residents of the community when I say that honoring Jimbo Jackson with a memorial at the current Fort Braden School is a better fit. It is disheartening and unfortunate that due to the loss of a highly respected spokesperson and member of our community, we were unknowingly put in a vulnerable position and serious decisions were being made and approved without the community's input. As a concerned citizen of the Fort Braden community in District 2, I ask that you reconsider changing the name of the Fort Braden Community Center. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker.
Karma Harvey, to be followed by the final speaker on this item, Kenneth Harvey.
Hi, Karma Harvey, 16919 Bluntstown Highway. I married into the Harvey generation out there. I've been there for 40 years. And I just want to say, from the Fort Braden community, we are honored that y'all felt obligation to honor your colleague, Jimbo Jackson, who was a very dear friend. In saying that, we are not as a community supporting the change or attaching any person's name to the Fort Braden Community Center, as it is a historical site and a staple in our community. Commissioner Jackson was a dear friend, as I stated, and was well known in our community primarily through his work in the new Fort Braden School, where he started his lifelong career, rising through the ranks to principal until his unexpected death. We respectfully request you reconsider your actions taken in the September 13th Commissioners meeting and choose an alternate way to memorialize Commissioner Jackson. The community may be even less opposed to Commissioner Jackson's being memorialized at his last public attendance at our Fort Braden walking path and the new playground once it's in place, which would be a more appropriate choice than a 100-year historical site. I would also like to read a couple of comments that were placed on our Fort Braden pages. And I'm just going to do some excerpts. I'm not going to say anything, the full things. Some of them was, the name should stay representative of the whole community. I don't feel the center should be named after one person because there are so many people who do for this community. The Fort Braden Gym should be named after him. Several people agreed with that. Definitely show how much he is loved at the school and the community. The school is where Jimbo was happy. The kids in his life matter to him. The community center is the Fort Braden Community Center for the community. Jimbo was about the school and his kids. He helped a lot of our kids active and stay out of trouble. So therefore, we respectfully asked you to look at another alternative way to memorialize our dear friend, Commissioner Jackson. Thank you.
Final speaker, Kenneth Harvey.
Good afternoon. Kenneth Harvey, 16919 Bluntstown Highway, Leon County, Florida. I'm not part of Tallahassee. Never have been. Here tonight, y'all have heard everybody speaking. Jimbo was a good friend of mine. We talk weekly, sometimes twice a week, mostly about the community and what's going on. I'm here tonight opposing this name change. Y'all did it. Y'all own it. It needs to stay where it's at. Between me and Brenda, Mr. Oots over here, we've got about 6 generations of family from out there. I say leave it like it is. It's always been that. It's a center point of the whole community. It's like that tree. It's part of it. The walking path that me and my wife and more have set on to help create with the county, that's a fine one. When it's completed, let's name it after Jimbo. The gymnasium, the park, I don't really care. Let's create something new. There's a lot of possibilities out there. Jimbo's a good fellow. Loved his community. But the other thing that really disturbed me tonight, while y'all took a break, somebody walked by and looked at me and says, I can't believe you're up here against Jimbo, us doing this for Jimbo, and walked away. He's one of your employees, and I took exception to it. But that's all I got to say. I'm done with it.
That last speaker?
That's the final speaker.
Okay. Commissioner Dozier?
I'm sorry, did you have a thought, sir?
And I was about to say that you've heard requests coming from members of District 2 who indicate that they have no specific representation. Each of us are representatives of the entire county, though from our system, we do have 5 district commissioners, and they've been without a specific district commissioner. You've heard the concerns, and if you want to react, respond, your thoughts, we'll open up with Commissioner Dozier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you all for staying with us tonight. From what I've read in the emails, what I've heard from you all, what I've seen from our staff, and the work they did on the item, I think this is a tough spot because everyone had the best interest. This was incredibly tough. I said this to you during break. To lose one of our colleagues, have this empty chair sit in the middle for months now, is extremely difficult. It's even more difficult for the kids at Fort Brady and for his family, I mean, of course, for the family, for the community out there. This, and I appreciate each of you saying, I mean, how often you talked, how close you were. But I do have a question here, Ms. County Administrator, that we don't want this to be a dividing issue in the community. I don't know if we need to unpack if or how the community was engaged during this process. If you want to share any comments, you can. My real question here is the item had 2 parts. It was the relationship with the Leon County Schools, right? And the naming, correct? And there was some trade on the stormwater capacity, all of that with the schools. Could we take a pause on the naming component right now? Let the new District 2 Commissioner be elected, join the board, and have some community dialogue. You've got board direction. It may end up exactly where it is, but at least have that dialogue. Let that new person for the naming specifically, and you can tell me how far along we are in the process, but I want to respect the family. I want to respect these folks, the community. But this is hard to hear, and I don't think Jimbo would want us to create division over use for his name. So,
but sure.
I just want to understand. You're asking that the county administrator put a pause on on moving forward until a district commissioner from District 2 is sitting in the seat.
Well, this is our last commission meeting before the District 2 commissioner gets sworn in, so it's not like it's that much time.
Right.
I know this may be further complicated because there was the MOU with Leon County Schools, and that was wrapped up in the naming. I'm simply saying we take a pause all the time to go one more step and have a community meeting or something like that, hear a little bit more information, even if we stick by the same decision we were leaning towards at one meeting. I am simply saying, with the comments and the emails that we've gotten, is it possible to take just a little pause on the signage, on actually naming that, just so we can have that conversation, heal some of this, and if the board, I won't be sitting up here, but if the board comes back and sticks by that decision, that's the decision. But I'm just asking if there can be a little more time to have that dialogue.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
if I
sir.
may, the issues of the MOU and the naming are not tied together. Those were separate.
Good.
But I will say this board, as you know, has an explicit policy relative to namings. Not everybody does. I put emphasis on that because the board has a very intentional process. It requires an agenda item to come back. It requires certain analysis to be done, all of which happened and which passed unanimously. And so, but the board, could the board undo what you did? You could. When I put the emphasis on intentionally, I'd like to emphasize to the board, obviously the board, you'll take the direction that you take, and it could be a pause, and I acknowledge that. But when I put the emphasis on intentionally, the board has to also consider that it was intentional about keeping this decision with the commission. If you opened it up for certain levels of citizen input, you may never name anything after anyone. So just something to consider.
Very good. Commissioner Dozier, any
Thank you.
follow-up?
Mr. County Administrator, to be clear, that policy is in place for a reason. It is board decision, and it is difficult to move forward with something like that by consensus. As was said, there's a lot of different people we can honor in a lot of different ways, and we've taken up a lot of issues where we're changing the name of a road, or we're doing this, trying to bring in different parts of our history that it's never been acknowledged. This is a complicated issue. In this one unique case, because of the history of Fort Braden Community Center, I'm just not in a position to make a judgment call here. So, and Mr. County Administrator, I was trying to hesitate here not to put you on the spot because I don't think we need to get into a back and forth, but yeah, I think you did just acknowledge this was staff analysis, board decision. We didn't go out and engage the community based on that policy. I think that is important to know because that is typically, that's how we would have looked at it with Commissioner Sauls, with others. That is our board policy, right? So you weren't doing anything, you didn't make a miss, and I want to acknowledge that. This is how we've done it, and that is policy. So I'm not trying to put you or the staff in any difficult position on that. This is a unique one. I'm just speaking my piece here that this is a very emotional issue, obviously. It's going to be emotional for a family. It's going to be emotional for everyone. If we take a month or two and just have that conversation, again, the board has direction. I'm not saying rescind that vote. I'm just saying don't change a sign until we have a District 2 commissioner. We can have a conversation. But I would never want to change that policy. It should be very, specific times when we may need to look at something a little more different. So that's my piece. I'd love to hear from my colleagues here because this is a tough one for all of us.
Vice Chairman.
Thank you. I appreciate you folks coming down and talking about how you feel about the community center. What I will say, and Mr. Administrator, correct me if I'm wrong, we're talking about the timing of if the District 2 Commissioner will be here before you will actually put the sign up. And it'd be my assumption that that will more than likely happen. And if not, it's like Commissioner Dozier said, we don't necessarily have to ask for anything to go back for us just to say, hey, listen, let's let someone sit in this seat before we put up that sign. And if they choose to want to advocate on behalf of the community for it to be changed, so be it. But there's one thing I did want you guys to understand and know. While we do have 5 district commissioners, you do have 2 at-large commissioners. And at any point, you can contact us to help you out in any way that we can. If you do not have a district commissioner sitting there, that's myself and that's Commissioner Cummings. what I think, and it's not always about what I think, but what I believe might be fair here is not necessarily for us to look at trying to undo what we've already done thus far, but maybe us just saying, Mr. Administrator, hey, let's let a district commissioner sit in the seat, and then at that point, after we have a meeting, which will be on, I think, the 22nd of November, I believe it is, then have a conversation and then move forward. Given time for that commissioner to understand the seat that he's taken and the place that he's sitting. One thing I can say about Fort Braden, going all the way back to our dearly beloved Jane Sauls, is it's a very unique community. And I can remember sitting on this board, and it's so crazy, Commissioner Dozier, because I can remember Commissioner Proctor sometimes saying, I remember when I sat on the board. But I remember sitting on this board and watching Commissioner Sauls fight tooth and nail for the Rural Waste Service Center out in Fort Braden, because it was a community stable that they absolutely wanted. And when it came down to it, she didn't say much, but that was the one thing she fought for. That was the one thing she got, and she was not budging on it. And so for us to say that you do have two at-larges, but to give a district commissioner an opportunity to sit here, hear what you have to say, and then us move forward with it, I don't think it's robbery. I don't think we change our policy. It worked with Commissioner Sauls. I'm sure it's worked in other situations. It's probably going to work in the future. But in this situation, if you're trying to meet in the middle of the road here, I think the middle of the road is we're not going to change it right now, but to give you guys the opportunity to have a representative from your district sit here before we put the sign up, I believe might be fair. That doesn't require us to take any action, does it, Madam Attorney?
It does not. At some point, if the board decides to change its vote, it would require a motion to rescind. If it's an agenda item, it just requires a majority. Otherwise, it requires a 2/3 vote.
Right. So being as such, it's just us giving direction. I will tell you, I love Jimbo Jackson. He called me regularly after every meeting. We talked a bunch. He made me feel like I was actually a brother to him in the short time we were able to get to know each other. And so it's important to me that something out there represents his name. And I know it is, I know it is just as important to you, and I'm not saying that it is not. But what I am saying is, as we proceed with this thing, understand that the place we're trying to get to is the same. We all want to honor what was an honorable man in your community. And the middle place I believe right now is, if you want us to wait until there's a District 2 commissioner sitting here, I can be okay with that. I cannot be okay with saying we're going to go back on it without a District 2 commissioner sitting here. It may end up the same way. It may end up the same way, but that's where I am. I can be okay, but I'm not okay with rescinding at this point.
Mr. Chair?
Ms. Welch? Commissioner?
Thank you. Just real quickly, I tend to agree with Commissioner Dozier and Commissioner Maddox, only because, and I don't do this lightly, I think if we were to ask ourselves, how would Commissioner Jackson feel about this? I think he would probably be looking through those round glasses and saying, all this for me, like he's such a humble servant leader. I think the only fair thing to do is to give the newly elected commissioner the opportunity to gauge and advocate one way or the other for the folks in Fort Braden. Now, I say that with the understanding, we have to understand that's going to be a big night for that individual on November 22nd, and to put that weight of a decision on them that night, if that were to be the night it happens, I think you got to consider that. So if we do, decide to go with a pause, you might want to just push that off to the December meeting, because I think that's a lot to ask of a newly elected district commissioner. And I'm okay doing that. I think that's a fair thing to do. But in the same breath, it is a difficult position for us to be in, because obviously our intentions are well-meaning, and we love Jimbo in a way that is only can be, experienced on this dais when you're in these seats making these kinds of decisions and dealing with people's lives and stuff. And so it's difficult for us, but we want, and I know he would want, I think he would want the community supported whatever decision is made in regards to his honor and his memory. So I would support just essentially hitting pause, but I would suggest the caveat of waiting till December to really dig into that discussion, which gives the newly elected District 2 seat the opportunity to really have some time in the community, have a conversation, maybe even think about alternatives amongst that community. That would be my suggestion.
Commissioner Cummings.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you all, the community, for coming out, speaking to us in reference to this issue. I believe, Mr. Chair, as a member of the commission, that when we took this action, we were doing it to honor the service that Commissioner Jackson gave to this county and gave to his district. And I certainly know that we didn't intend to cause any dissension, a confusion. That's never our intention. And so I don't have a problem, Mr. Chair, in having the decision held, having the naming held until their new district commissioner has been elected. Allow that commissioner to weigh in on it, and I'm sure that commissioner, whether it's he or she, will get input from the citizens that live in that community. And I think hearing from that commissioner's standpoint, I believe we here on the commission would listen and give a certain amount of deference to that. So I believe that it's only fair to, because everybody that came up said, we've been without representation on this commission since Commissioner Jackson passed. So I think it's only fair to give them that deference. So I'm in favor of, I believe it was a motion, it's not a motion, but I'm in favor of the recommendation to wait until their commissioner has been elected next month. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
On point, just to make the point again, you do have representation in myself and Commissioner Cummings, but you do not have a district commissioner, which I completely understand. I just want to make that clear again. So if you have issues out there, we're the people to call.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chair.
All right. Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Dozier.
I was looking at you, Mr. Chair. She had asked a question, but I think you would probably say we've moved past the public comment time. So,
All right. Thank you very much. Commissioner Dozier.
So, Mr. Chair, I think it is important to mention right now that the policy that our county administrator mentioned, this is a difficult process naming anything. When the agenda comes out 7 days before the meeting, anybody, if we know about an agenda item, I'll put the caveat on there, but people could advocate one way or another, but this would ultimately, any renaming of anything, whether it sticks with community center or goes to the trailer or something else, this is going to be a board decision. And I think that's just important to say tonight. It is going to be a board decision. I think it's also important to say that it's my understanding the family was, very supportive of this decision. I want to honor of course, their position on this. That's why this is so challenging and why I think we're in the right posture, unless you were about to say something, Madam County Attorney, of just not taking a motion, not rescinding the action. But I think the question does need to be asked, Mr. County Administrator. I mean, is this even a decision? I mean, is the work planned to be done before December? Can we slow walk this a little bit, because it takes a little time to get projects like that going, but I want to recognize that you've had direction for over a month, and I think we got to respect.
Commissioner Dozier, I understand the question that you're asking the county administrator.
Oh, I'm not changing my position. I think we need to respect that we made a decision and staff gets to work. So do you need any further direction, because you probably got to work after that decision?
We have a couple things that could impact the timing beyond the time that you all have noted here with respect to a new commissioner coming on. One, we haven't acquired the property, so that's going to take a little longer. But we're in that process. We've got that direction. That's moving forward. The signage and other things that have been ordered, whatnot, it's going to take a couple of months before that's ready to go and before we're ready to schedule an opening. So I think the timing aligns with the discussion. The question is, do you want to make a motion on that? But the timing does align to provide that latitude.
Well, okay, so the timing aligns because you got to take ownership of the property before anything can move forward, and that MOU is separate from the naming. Based on what the county attorney said earlier, we wouldn't need a motion tonight if the timing lines up. That's why I wanted to ask that question to clarify, because District 2 Commissioner could come in and, forgive me, Commissioner Maddox, but we're going to be fair to our candidates running, he or she could decide to introduce a motion to rescind should they want or not. So this board is saying not take any action right now because there is that time that that commissioner could do so.
Right, we won't be in a position to take any action on this item until after that commissioner is installed.
Okay, I think we're in a good place then because there is the time. We have clarity on the schedule. We have clarity on the time. You know, it'll be after the election, and the community can engage with the District 2 Commissioner and the rest of the board, and that decision can be made at a later date.
Very good. All right, Chairman desires not to entertain a motion on this. Chairperson reasserts all conversation comes through the chair henceforth. Chairman, you all are just taking advantage of Chairman's weariness.
We don't know who's wearing the chair's hat at any given time, Mr. Chair, but thank you.
Absolutely. We've heard from the community. We've heard from commissioners. Our best decision tonight seems to be to allow this to marinate with the thought of the incoming District 2 Commissioner. I'm not accepting motions. I no longer want to deal with this. What's our next issue, Mr. Administrator?
That does it.
Very good. All right, Commissioners, we've concluded all of our business. We heard from our speakers for the evening. We're now at the county attorney and the county administrator's comments.
I have nothing for the board. Thank you.
Very good.
I have nothing. Thank you.
Very good. Commissioner Minor coming around the desk.
If the board would like to.
I want to table that too, that there's time, that tree is 200 years old. It'll be here a few more days. All right, go ahead, Mr. Administrator.
So in terms of an update, Commissioners, on the tree, again, the wheels are in motion regarding our taking ownership of the property. It's important to note that we do not own the property, and the county attorney will help me out on this one, and the tree is located in a utility easement that, and this is where Chastity could provide a lot more detail, predates any of our ordinances and that sort of thing. So it further complicates the issue. I will say this, we've been, since the board's direction to take over ownership of the property, we've been actively involved on the tree situation. Since the night the board took that action, I've been in contact with Duke Energy. It would not be an exaggeration to say every day. And so I can tell you that that is going very well, and I hope to be able to report something very soon. I think it would be advisable to allow those good faith conversations to continue, because I think that, again, I'm very hopeful about what could transpire out of that. And all I can say is that I'm awaiting a final determination very soon, and it's been elevated to the highest levels of Duke Energy. And so as soon as I am able to provide an answer on that, I'll do so.
Okay. One question, legal counsel, is that does Duke Energy have an easement of which that tree lies within the purview of their easement?
Yes, it is our understanding that this easement goes back to the 1920s, which is what Vince was alluding to when he said that that easement and those associated entitlements predate any of our local tree ordinances or regulations that were enacted after that easement was granted.
Does
So-
Leon County's government have preemptive authority to set aside that easement, which Duke has?
Based on any current information, no, but our office has not been directed to research that.
Okay, so ours would largely be an advocacy and a have mercy Duke on this tree position, but there's nothing legally that we have that could force Duke in any way to alter the course of their utilities, programs and processes.
Potentially no, but again, our office has not been requested to research that issue.
Very good. All right. Any other issues, Mr. Administrator?
No, sir.
Okay, very good. Commissioner Minor, your comments for the evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple days ago, I got a biopsy on my nose, and I've been wearing a Band-Aid on it since then, and I can't tell you how self-conscious I've become. I walk into a room, instantly I think everyone stops what they're doing and thinking and stares right at my nose. So I just wanted to, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, of course, but there are other types of cancer too. I don't know exactly what the biopsy results are going to be, but it probably will be the most moderate form, the most unoffensive type of cancer. But I bring this up just because I want to remind everybody, to go get checked. If you see something on your loved ones or yourself that might bring up a suspicion or two, go get checked. I'm going to be fine, but just want to bring that up. And that concludes my comments, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sure that District 3 feels much relieved by what you've shared. Thank you very much. Commissioner Dozier, you're up.
I really think we should just start celebrating anytime we recognize someone who's been at the dermatologist, because those of us lucky enough to have insurance and go and do that, we're not staring at it, we promise. It's a good reminder, so thank you, Commissioner Minor. Couple of things. I would like to request a proclamation claiming October as Careers in Construction Month to be presented at an outside event. Is there a second? Thank you. Mr. Chair?
All those in favor of the motion, please say by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Also requesting a proclamation declaring October 13th as Children's Environmental Health Day, again to be presented at an outside event.
Is there a second to the motion? Seconded by Commissioner Welch. Any objection? Showing none, short is passed. Commissioner Dozier.
Thank you. Glad we're going through the vice chair. All right, the next two, it was a city and county park, I will say this. But I attended the third annual Hispanic Resources Festival presented by LCSO out at Fred George. Fantastic park. Everyone loved it. It was a great event. A lot of folks came out, so well done to the county and to the Sheriff's Department for that. And the 24th annual Volunteer Firefighter Fire Truck Roundup at Tom Brown Park. I mentioned this to the county administrator. I want to say it publicly. The roundups, I've been to a lot of them, and I can't remember a time when we weren't in a parking lot on the black asphalt. And this time, being at Tom Brown Park, it was an entirely different experience. The kids are running all over the place. And I talked to folks at, I think 4 of our 5, maybe all 5 of our volunteer firefighter, the different district groups, and almost all of them mentioned how grateful they were to the county for helping make that work out. So, Ms. County Administrator, appreciate that. Glad you all were able to work with them. And I see that Mr. Kenny Harvey already walked out. It's all good. Okay. Well, talking to the Lake Talquin VFD a good bit, Mr. Harvey and others, and this came from a number of different VFDs, just talking a lot about the equipment, the struggles, and we know there are a lot of challenges here. There's a lot more funding for fire departments than for volunteer fire departments. But Ms. County Administrator, thinking about it after our conversation and briefing yesterday, I'd like to make a motion for just a status report. It's been a while since we've seen that. Just a status report for the board on our various VFDs. This will give them an opportunity to communicate perhaps what I heard out there to the board, understanding the challenges with funding and everything else, but I think an update on our VFDs would be beneficial for all of us. That would be my motion.
Motion on the floor made by Commissioner Dozier. Is there a second to the motion?
Thank you.
I'm sorry, seconded by Commissioner Welch. I'm sorry. Any objection? Hearing none, short is passed. Commissioner Dozier.
That is it, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Vice Chair.
Commissioner Welch.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Thoughts for your nose, Commissioner Minor? You think it's, yeah. What is on your nose? You think it's weird walking in the room and having everybody stare at you? And my students tell me all the time if I didn't have a beard, it'd look like a thumb. So I'm used to people staring at me when I walk into rooms kind of oddly. I want to thank Brent Pell and our Public Works Department as I continue to focus on traffic safety and pedestrian safety in the Northeast. They continue to really impress and do a great job in being responsive to my request to the county administrator. Both this month we had some pedestrian safety flashers put at Bannerman Crossing a little ahead of the blueprint widening. And we had some further improvement made on Meridian Road after another tragic accident. So thank you to Brent and your crew at Public Works who just continue to do a great job for District 4 as you do for the rest of the county. Wanted to shout out our emergency operations folks for deploying and assisting with Hurricane Ian. Matt Cavell and his team and Kevin and the guys and the ladies at our EOC do an outstanding job, and I have not yet to experience a full-on Leon County threat of a tropical storm, hurricane, but I am fully confident that when that happens that those great teams will do an incredible job. The last thing I wanted to ask about, and I may need the Vice Chair to craft me up a good motion here to help me with how to handle this, but the Tallahassee Historical Society approached me about 3-4 weeks ago. They are looking to write a book in recognition of the bicentennial that's going to be occurring in a couple of years. They received a $20,000 grant from the State Division of Historical Resources to write this book, and then they need a $20,000 match. They received $10,000 from the city last week, I believe, and so they're looking for the other $10,000. So I would like to offer a motion either for an agenda item to come back and consider that, or can we just decide it here on the dais with a, for contingency or how you want to handle that?
Commissioner Welch, you could poll the board real quick to see it because it would take a unanimous vote from the board in order for us to pass it. But I know it's $10,000. You could ask for that, and then if that does not pass, then you can ask for an agenda item. Look at Commissioner Dozier's face. I'll probably just ask for the agenda item.
Yeah, I figured as much. I didn't have to look.
Yeah, is there a second? Is there a second to the motion?
Yeah, let's ask for an agenda item.
Is there a second to the motion? Motion been seconded by Commissioner Dozier. Any objection? Seeing no objection, short is passed. Mr. Administrator, you understand what we got coming back? Good.
Awesome. Thank you. I guess we won't see each other necessarily till November 22nd. So we got a little bit of a stretch here until our next meeting. No? Oh, we have a workshop in 2 weeks. My bad. Never mind. Hey, love you guys. See you soon. All right. Good night.
Thank you. Commissioner Cummings.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I want to thank Chairman Proctor. Unbeknownst to him, however, he asked me to read the proclamation recognizing this month as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And he didn't know this, but my mother is 97 years old, and she is a breast cancer survivor. So it was right on time, and of course, I certainly agreed to read that proclamation. So thank you for that. in addition to Commissioner Welch commending our county employees for going down, assisting with the aftermaths of Hurricane Ian, I just want to thank our county administrator and our preparedness team for getting us prepared. They called a press conference to prepare Leon County at the point when we didn't know where the hurricane was going. So I just thank you all, and I do feel that we, the county residents, that we are in good hands. We have individuals that forecast, that look ahead, and that make sure that our residents here in Leon County know what they need to do to prepare, whether it's to evacuate or whether it's to, to hunker down in place. We have the direction and the support of the county. So thank you, Mr. County Administrator, for all you do and for all your direction. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Vice Chairman, Commissioners, I desire for a designation of Thorpe Street from Ross School down to Godby School to be called the Georgia Joy Bowen Memorial Boulevard, a boulevard there on the Thorpe Street corridor. And I'd like to make a motion to that effect, that we would adopt Joy Bowen Boulevard on Thorpe Street from Ross School down to Godby. That's the motion.
Motion's been made by the chairman, seconded by Commissioner Cummings. I think it's the most honorable thing for us. School board member Bowen is the longest serving school board member in the history of Leon County Schools. She deserves such an honor as such, and I want to thank School Board Chairman Daryl Jones for bringing it to us as an idea to honor her and right in front of one of the schools that she loved most, being Godby High School. The way this motion is set up, Commissioners, this is a motion to do the naming right now, which means it would have to pass unanimously. I want you to understand this would cause, yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Are you asking for agenda item?
Your policies require such namings to go through the addressing committee, which is made up of all of your emergency responders, to ensure that it does not create
Mr.
emergency
Chairman,
response.
I'm sorry, Mr. Administrator, this naming is not a renaming of the road. This is
It's a designation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so it does not actually change the actual name of the road. It simply just adds another designation to it, which would make it Thorpe Street, but then under it would be the Georgia Joy Bowen Boulevard.
Got it.
So addresses actually would not have to change.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes. So I was explaining that this motion would have to pass unanimously. If it does not, Mr. Chairman, I'll come back to you to ask for an agenda item. All those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations to the longest serving school board member, Georgia Joy Bowen, and thank you so much to the chair of the school board, Daryl Jones, for the idea and the designation. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioners, Hurricane Ian was quite revealing. This Thursday, the CRPTA, our Transportation Regional Planning Committee, will meet. I would like for the board to forward to the CRPTA for their Thursday meeting a letter seeking the immediate lift of Crawfordville Road from 363 to Wakulla Line to be completed. I believe that the PD&E was done some years ago, and the monies of $28 million were designated from Congress for that road. Half that money was hijacked and was put on 319 North to send Thomasville Road as a completed 3-lane highway up to Georgia Line. Over the years, Wakulla County has completed and has fashioned a 4-lane look on 319 in their county, it comes to our county line. Had we done what Congress had designated for us to do, this emergency evacuation route would be completely 4-lane. It is totally frustrating that in light of the kind of storm that came upon Florida in the wake of Ian, that had it come a little further north, we would have been an emergency evacuation route that would have been totally frustrating. It's because of Ion and the fact that Wakulla has done their due diligence and have executed and put pavement on the ground that Leon County, we ought to complete that road that we have left aborted. I'm asking commissioners for a letter from you to the CRPTA that we make a priority of Crawfordville Road's completion to meet the extraordinary work and extremely diligent efforts of Wakulla County, who's operating with a tax base less than ours, who are operating with a population maybe a fifth of ours, but have done a tremendous service. And when our boaters and when our recreationers go down to the coast, Wakulla is a beautiful drive away, and they're trying. And it seems to me that them having put some skin in the game on that road, we ought to finish the drive for our recreationers going there. But most importantly, and critically, that it is an emergency evacuation route that our county ought to observe. So I ask for a letter seeking the observance from the CRPTA from our board, and I offer that as a motion for a letter to the CRPTA this Thursday.
Mr. Vice Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I think you could answer this question as well, but as chair of the CRTPA, if you'd allow me, I just met with Representative Schoaf on this issue. Mr. Chair, I think you may remember from your time on the CRTPA board that it is a 4-county board. Wakulla, Leon, Gadsden, and Jefferson work collaboratively. So Wakulla advocated, we had to split that project into phases. We were never going to qualify for the money from the feds if it was one long project to do all segments at one time. We had to split it up. It is absolutely a priority. You know it takes a very long time to get through that planning process. We have made it more efficient in the last 6 years than it has ever been before, and projects are moving forward. But it was Wakulla's desire, and the rest of the board supported Wakulla's desire and it was staff recommendation and FDOT's desire to focus on some of those segments within Wakulla County first. We have talked about this at several meetings. The executive director and I did meet with Representative Schoaf just in the last month or two in preparation for the legislative session, and Representative Schoaf wants to be helpful for our region in getting additional funding so we can complete those phases. Mr. Vice Chair, you know the MPO process as well as I do. I think we both served on the board our entire time here. I'm getting pretty deep into transportation policy. The CRTPA board, if they were in receipt of that letter, could do nothing. This is an FDOT choice. So long as the projects are on the 5-year plan, they're not in order. When funding is available from the feds or the state, they know what projects we've prioritized, and they absolutely know that this is a high priority, and we have dotted the I's and crossed the T's, and even going beyond that to work with our legislative representatives on it. So, Mr. Chair, I share your concern about that evacuation route. And frankly, just day-to-day travel for folks getting to work and to and from Wakulla County. There are partners in this, but I want you to know, and I would encourage you to call the executive director over at CRTPA and get all the facts. He's got everything. But we are working on this, and it is a high priority, and FDOT knows it. But they will allocate the money when it becomes available and when they make that decision. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair of our CRTPA. But I will ask on behalf of Commissioner Proctor, I do think he has a very valid point. I know on the CRTPA, we are very collegial, especially when it comes to making sure our rural counties get what they need as well. We don't want to be the bullies in the room. But Commissioner Proctor does have a point. And I guess, Commissioner Proctor, if you would allow, what I would ask is if there's any way for us to ask them or ask FDOT to look at this as a priority, would you recommend anyway? Because you said you've been talking to Representative Shope and others about it, or would you recommend? I mean, the letter is on. I mean, you made a motion for a letter. So I just want to hear your thoughts on it.
So.
Well, I was talking. I thought it was my time.
I'm bringing it back to you, Mr. Chair.
I thought you were finished when you made a motion and asked the Vice Chair if I could speak up. So, the meeting is next Tuesday, actually. So, Commissioner Minor, Mr. Vice Chair, myself, I think we can make a commitment right now to bring this issue up, to represent the priority of Crawfordville Highway within Leon County. We have been doing so. That was my only point. But I think we can absolutely, Mr. Chair, I commit to bringing it up as chair of that board, and I'm sure Commissioner Minor, Vice Chair, will bring it up next week as well. I think we should have that conversation.
All right, so there is a motion on the floor for a letter to come from the chairman to the CRTPA asking for the consideration to prioritize Crawfordville Highway, Mr. Chair. Is that correct?
Correct.
For immediate construction?
Well, what I've indicated, and Commissioner Dozier has spoken, I imagine, well within her constraints of understanding. But like Vandeman Road, there were rules which it crossed and moved up the ladder through the blueprint, and all kinds of rules were set aside. In fact, it moved about 15, 16 years advanced. We heard the lady from up there off the lake, Ammonia, talking about the development. So I'm not innocent with an incomplete understanding of what we can do when we make something a priority. So I'm well heeled in what Christian Dozier has told us, Commissioner Dozier, and I thank her. We've just come in from one of the most deadly storms in the history of the state of Florida. And sometimes these situations lend insight and revelation of what a priority is, which we may not have had prior to Ion. In light of that experience that Florida's had, but for that storm turning inward south of here, we may well have needed that road. And as frequent as storms do come through the Gulf, in turn, we never know. I think that we have public policy that designates the road as an emergency evacuation route. So Representative Shope, or be it Representative Lawson, or whoever the other representatives are, they should all be a lot sensitive right now to moving people as we had to move people off those islands, off of the coast of the Collier County, down there on Lee County. We're trying to move people inland. And I think that this board, recognizing we're a part of Florida, and when situations like that happen, and plus on top of that, board members, maybe you've not been in the room, but I have, with Secretary Buttigieg as recently as the summer, and his indication of the billions of dollars of which are being placed in categories for new funding for moments and for roads just like Crawfordville. There are gazillions of dollars which Secretary Buttigieg has been saying to communities. I had the good pleasure of seeing him week before last at the Congressional Black Caucus setting as well. And he's touting we have money. We need communities to prepare to go get it. I am suggesting that we sound the alarm, that we make this a priority and go get this money. That's why I'm asking for a letter formally from this whole board, this chairman knows how to stroke a letter over to the CRPTA, and we will send it to. Been there, done that. Brought $28 million here for Crawfordville Road before. Can go get the rest. But as a matter of protocol and consistency in a unit, I want a letter from us in light of all that I've said. That's why
Mr.
I made the
Chair,
motion.
okay, can you like take some of that out and just state the motion so we can?
The motion is for a letter from this board to make to the CRPTA to lift Crawfordville Road as a priority for funding and completion to meet Wakulla County's completed road and 4-lane.
Okay, so that's a motion. That's been seconded by Commissioner Cummings. Any other comment?
Mr.
Mr.
Vice
Dozier.
Chair, I think, I mean, I'm looking to you, I'm looking to Commissioner Minor here. I think we need to be very clear with our colleagues, understanding that you two have not had the great adventure of serving on the CRTPA board yet, that what Commissioner Proctor is saying right now is not possible. So we can send this letter, that is fine, but the example of Bannerman Road, that's a blueprint sales tax, that's local issues. We have our process to move money up. Federal and state, a letter, the CRTPA board cannot, we have advocated as recently as the last meeting to advance this project in all segments. We have been working hard on this. Mr. Vice Chair, would you concur with that?
I would.
And would you also say that our 5-year, the TIP, the transportation plan, once it's in there, there's no ranking or anything. We're advocating for it, and we get money as fast as we can. But it is a state and federal decision, correct?
Very much so.
And lastly, we have also been told on that board that when we go around FDOT process and that plan and go to our legislative representatives and get them to request the money, that can gum up the works because it's 2 requests in the state budget. And that was the problem we had 6-7 years ago, is because we had all these requests going different directions and it slowed the process. So, Mr. Chair, I'm going to say this. You may not like getting into the weeds of the process, but it actually gets more done when we understand that, because instead we step in it and we offend FDOT and the legislature when we double up with these requests. So I think a letter is just fine. Commissioner Cummings, I mean, if we want to send a letter, express the board's concern, but 3 of 6 members sitting up here sit on that board. I think we hear it, and I'm saying we have been advocating. The process absolutely matters. If we go and advocate with Congressman Lawson, we will do ourselves a disservice. That is what we have learned in the last 12 years by paying attention to how the feds in the state do this different than locals. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Vice Chairman.
Okay, listen, give me a second. Here's what I'll say. Commissioner Parton has every right to advocate for his district from this board, to ask for a letter for us to simply send over to the CRTPA and to ask that we prioritize. Now, I know you're not saying that he doesn't, Commissioner Dozier, and I do understand how
Prioritize is very different than asking CRTPA to fund it right now or going to our congressional delegation.
What he said, what he said, his motion said just now, correct me if I'm wrong, is that they prioritize. Crawfordville Highway was the vernacular he just gave for the motion.
Could we prioritize it any more than we already have, Mr. Vice Chair?
We can have a conversation around what that means.
Mr. Vice Chairman, let me talk back to my own situation here. Some people, Robert Kennedy said, see things as they are, and they ask why. And some people see things that never was, and they ask why not. I see things perhaps that Commissioner Dozier may not see, and I'm willing to say why not. And Commissioner Dozier, please know your words spoken to me about what is not possible, I reject, I don't accept, and they absolutely don't apply.
I did not say it's not possible, Mr. Chair. I said there is a way to do it.
No. You sit there and tell me what's possible about what what's possible by me.
Finish your comments. Commissioner Dozier, let him finish.
And is absolutely what was impossible was getting Crawfordville funded against an MPO, wasn't the CRPTA, but against the MPO with 11 commissioners combined, county and city, who, like you, Commissioner Dozier, opposed money going to the south side and for that road. No, I'm absolutely right. You're talking it down right now. You won't even let a sheet of paper go over there to lift it up. That's what you're saying. You don't want it to come from this body. So it's been your thought form and format of thought that has absolutely thwarted that road of the projects from occurring. I'm asking this body right here that for an emergency evacuation route, that Wakulla has done their part over the years to meet our county. They are there at the line. And can we say to the CRPTA, because they put skin in the game, they got money on the line, and we have a broken chain of flow in that traffic. And we just had a hurricane. And, you know, one of the things, Vince, that's being looked at is the emergency evacuation plan. Who knew who was supposed to do what? Why wasn't people told? And blah, blah, blah. Well, we got enough of a hint that storms can come up that corridor of the Gulf. And while it's in season to prepare and work while it's day, we have that chance to do now. So Commissioner Dozier's ideas about some process, what she's talking about, that don't count. What counts is saving people's lives and saying that that road, commercial activities, recreational activities, tourism activities, going down to 319 over to 98 and all back over there, that road counts. And if that CRPTA, they'll dull their senses, and if they sit there and allow for FDOT to dictate and tell them everything, they're not doing their job. That's not their job. Their job is to be a give and take process. And what we're doing is giving. Whether they take it, I don't know. You got to keep punching and firing away. That's why I'm asking y'all for this letter.
I appreciate how spirited this
That's how it
conversation
goes.
has been. What I would say, Commissioner Proctor, Mr. Chairman, and Commissioner Dozier, is a letter does not make the decision. It simply asks for consideration to prioritize, whether it be this year, next year, or the year after. It doesn't matter. It needs to be a priority. And I'm okay with that. To ask for us to look at it and prioritize it, and we can have the conversation at the CRTPA about what that actually means. But I'm just not, on this board, I represent this county. On that board, I also represent Leon County in a conglomerate of other counties trying to do what they need to do for their county. I have a person on my board saying to me, hey, listen, I'm asking for you guys to look at prioritizing on the CRTPA this particular route. I don't mind sending that letter over. And then we can have, myself, Commissioner Dozier, Commissioner Minor can have the conversation about what that actually means with the other members of the CRTPA. But I wouldn't turn down any other commissioner's request, not yours, Commissioner Dozier, not whoever the next Commissioner 2, District 2 Commissioner is going to be, Commissioner Welch, not yours nor yours, Commissioner Minor, an opportunity that you've asked to send a letter on behalf of your district advocating for a piece of something that you feel like needs to be prioritized. Now, Commissioner, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
In my mind, everything Commissioner Dozier said is pretty much accurate. Am I willing to have the conversation at the CRTPA? Yes. Do I know what that means at this point? No. Do I think that the letter will make a difference? It does put us on notice that it does need to be a priority, and that this board would like for it to be a priority. And Commissioner Dozier, you did say the 5-year TIP plan and how we have fought so hard to make sure that the county stuff matches CRTPA, so all the money goes together and the state funding and all that kind of stuff. I think we're having a whole bunch of conversation at this level on stuff that you, myself, Commissioner Dozier, and Commissioner Minor will have to consider on another board if this letter should pass. I'm going to support it. If it passes, it passes, but I'm going to support it. I'm going to support Commissioner Proctor in District 1 in what they're asking for, what he's asking for, and us looking at how we can prioritize. If we can't, we can't. But we get a letter to say that we're at least going to try to have the conversation what it means. Commissioner Minor.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. As the other member of the CRTPA here in the Leon County Commission, I will support the motion so long as the letter is worded as you describe it in terms of prioritizing it. And then when it comes to the CRTPA, it really just supplements what Commissioner Dozier has committed to, which is to bring it up as an issue for discussion at the next meeting. So I'll go ahead and I'll support the motion. I think it just simply stands alongside the commitment from the three of us to go ahead and bring up the issue and talk about how we can prioritize it within the system of CRTPA. So also I'll vote to support the motion. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Very good. Ms. Vice Chairman, I appreciate this delegation representing this board. That's why we have so empowered you all to represent the interests of our county. I know that there are 4 counties over there. Y'all represent our county. And for safety and optimizing, maximizing safety under storm and where we live at, we live between 2 seas. We're a piece of dirt extended out between 2 oceans, and hurricanes like to travel over warm waters. I'm asking this delegation to represent continuation, completion of, and I don't care how you get it done by any means necessary. We need to protect the citizens' lives, and I appreciate your support for a letter to go, and I'm so appreciative and just so grateful for you all. Thank you.
All those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. I'm sorry, Commissioner Dozier?
I just wanted to say, because this was a lot of back and forth, I'll support the letter. You're right, we do support letters of this nature. This was an unnecessary back and forth because the letter will say we want to prioritize, and all I was saying that we've been working hard to make it a priority. I've been working hard on that for years, as you have, as Commissioner Minor has. That's all I'm saying. It is a top priority. The South Side infrastructure is a top priority, and I resent the implication that it's not, because we're sitting in the room and we've been fighting for it every day. That is the entire exchange, is that this is the priority. It's already happened. So I'm going to support the letter because it reinforces what we have already done at CRTPA, and it'll get it in the record. That's just fine. I just think it's good for us to understand that we have been working together for the same goals for a long time. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Please take the vote.
No.
Please take the vote.
Let the record show that Commissioner Dozier's support is in support, that this was already a priority that we, the members of the CRTPA, have been working on. And Mr. Chairman, your letter just echoes everything that we already do, but it's good for us to have consensus sending it over to say that we as a board agree that the work that I'm doing, Commissioner Dozier doing, and Commissioner Minor's doing is something that the rest of the members that are not there agree on. We're all on the same page on this thing, and I appreciate the fact that even though the dialogue happened the way it happened, we still got to a place that we can agree that we stand strong in prioritizing Commissioner Proctor's request and letter. All those in favor of the motion on the floor indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries without objections. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so very much. I'm sure that in you all's disposition that the state itself designated what is a state emergency evacuation. I didn't. We just want them to live up to what they've already declared as an emergency.
Yes, sir.
Finally, commissioners, I want to say to you all good night, and to say to Commissioner Dozier, as she brings closure to her career, how much our community and our county has valued her service, and to thank her for her years of being a member of this board and representing with diligence District 5. Commissioner Dozier, it was a pleasure to work with you, and thank you so much for your years given and extended to our community. I say that as chairman of our government. Thank you.
Thank you. First things first, I want to say that, what I appreciated, Commissioner Dozier, you're right, that conversation did not have to go on as long as it did, but what I appreciated about it was where we were able to end up. There's not many boards in this community, there's not many boards in this nation that can have a conversation like that. And at the end of it, understand that we are agreeing with each other. We're just passionate about the language that we use when we agree. And I've seen no one do it better than Commissioner Dozier and Commissioner Proctor. And Commissioner Dozier, that speaks to who you've been for the past 12 years on this board, and I've appreciated working with you because of that. We talk about, there's been a couple times that you said, maybe we shouldn't, you guys think maybe we shouldn't dig down into the details, but you pushed us to a place that we believe that the details are important. And I think that's what makes us good as a board. Some of us are high level, some of us are details, but that's the balance that we need in order to make good decisions for our community. And that's what makes us who we are here in Leon County, and it's kept us over the past 12 years that I've been here as one of the, I would say, one of the forward-facing and best boards that I've seen across the nation as I've been across the nation, and definitely in this state. And I'm not talking bad about anybody, I'm just talking good about us. And so, Commissioner Dozier, as you ride off into the sunset, this being your last commission meeting, what I'll say is that the value that you have brought in your 12 years as a county commissioner cannot be replaced. It cannot be imitated. Someone can only try to sit in that seat and come close. And so continue to be the example that you are of what it means to really, really understand issues and really dig into issues that you've been for this board, because it's given us, again, a level of depth that we might not have had without you. And so I don't know what the future holds for you, but what I do know is that I've enjoyed serving with my class 27 classmate from Leadership Tallahassee, and I wish you the best in all that you're doing. You do have regardless of what happens, you do have some nuptials coming up, and so I want to go ahead on the dais and congratulate you on that. That's a special time for you and your family. But as Commissioner Proctor has said, it's been an honor to serve with you on this county commission. It's been even more of an honor to have come in with you in 2010. With that being said, anything else? We adjourn.